Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm Bancroft being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, Trevor, and like always, Fluff.
That's right.
What's going on, yo?
Hello.
Hello, it's me, Alan Rickman. Fluff could not be here today.
Okay, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. I don't know what happened to Fluff, but if he wants to return, he's more than welcome to.
Isn't Alan Rickman?
Yeah, I don't want to
go.
Yeah,
never mind.
So, today's matchup is Jake got pared down, unfortunately. And I was like, well, you want to record your match still? And so we set up two different rigs at our locals. So we got a take on Soul Striker with some new blue stuff versus my Super 17 deck. So we've already kind of go over Super 17. Jake, you want to kind of explain what you're doing over here?
So I wanted to take advantage of Soul Striker being able to awaken at a high life total whenever you play a 3-drop blue unison. The problem is there's never really been a 3-drop blue unison I liked until this set. So with the new Tapion Spirit Boost package, you can do a lot of really cool stuff with Soul Striker. And it results in you being able to play just a really efficient mid-range deck, which is the kind of deck I like to play, although I'm really not known for playing blue. I actually want to give a shout out to Fluff. I talked to him before the event and talked to Trevor after the event. And I think now the list is in a much healthier place than it is in this game, although this game is quite good. And as Bancroft said, I was 2-0 at this point, so the deck is quite potent.
Let him know that you expressed feelings of gratitude.
Yeah, we've seen Soul Striker succeed a lot recently, of course, as the kind of premier blue deck along with Blue Baby. I do think some of the tech options that you've added into it definitely make it really stand out as like a forever kind of deck.
Yeah, Soul Striker really reminds me of kind of the like mid set 7, pre-set 7 type of meta decks where it was basically just good cards deck. You didn't see a lot of archetypes up to that point be very popular. Most people were just utilize a generically good leader with a bunch of generically good battle cards. Then I think ever since like past set 7, we started seeing a lot more archetypal based decks with a few of the good cards deck running around. But Soul Striker is just such a generically fantastic leader that you could do just about anything with it and get out, pretty decent. So I'm really I'm really hyped to see what this deck wants to do, because Jake has been talking about this deck like the week leading up to this, and I've been hyped to see it.
And I would say this match was a very back and forth match because the way Jake has built it. It's either I'm taking something, he's taking something, he's bound something, I'm rebuilding the chain super quickly, So it was a very back and forth match, which I really did enjoy. And I'm once again, I'm sorry, Jake, this turn took forever. Yeah, I had so many different interactions in this turn alone. And
at one point, I remember, hey, what's your awakening condition? And you just picked up your leader and said, now.
So I don't know if I didn't get a chance to do it in the first match with Jimmy, but your leader can awaken if you have a unison on board of 2 Pacific costs. You just have to kind of do the drop down to 6 life. And I had every other card I needed to kind of go off the evolve target now. And like I said, I had another Android 17 in my hand, 3-drop, to do another search. Keep in mind, that is a limit 1, so I cannot do it a second time. I think I said to you, you're like, what else can you do? I'm like, well, I can't do this again, so we're good there. I'll bottom a card, and I guess I passed turn.
It was a lot. And for a guy that likes to play decks with a lot of actions per turn, I was frankly quite jealous. Because my turn 2 is kind of underwhelming here, as you can see.
Well, I did make the comment that I'm ready to see your take on Super 17 in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know if I can keep up, man. There's a lot of chains popping off in that deck.
It's a very Jake deck. Like, I know Bancroft likes his like weird decks, but I feel like this deck is too potent for Bancroft. Bancroft wants something that's trash that he can like eke out a win with every once in a while to feel good about himself. So I see Super 17 as being a very Jake deck.
So that negate was an actual misplay. I wanted another android in my drop area. I'm like, oh, I'll just negate with this. I'm like, oh yeah, it plays itself. And I just ripped 2 markers instead of the one I would have taken. Okay, this is great. So my unison's 1 marker less because of that mistake, and I can't go into my yellow-green energy right off the bat. So I got to wait a turn for that now.
Thank goodness, because you've pretty much controlled the board and controlled the pace of the game up until this point.
So Jake, with your Soul Striker, obviously with Soul Striker as opposed to like Baby or SS3 Reboot, being more defensive on your opponent's turns, do you find yourself more frequently untapping energy offensively to extend your plays on your turn, or do you find yourself untapping that energy for defensive on your opponent's turn?
You know, it really depends on the matchup, but I'll tell you, it seems to be more advantageous to use things like Bean on your turn, because that's really the only untap that the deck has other than the leader swing on your own turn, other than stuff that happens at like EOT. And to save your things like Dimension Magic and Mechie Orbs and stuff, obviously, for your opponent's turn.
So I overheard you talking about the deck and talking about your early game plays that you don't have a lot of stuff to do early, and you talked about what is that card? Unthinkable Fate, is that the name of it? Or
Intersecting Fates.
Intersecting Fates. Unthinkable Fate's the 2-drop green card from set 5. So how has that worked out for you? Because I was not super high on that card until I started playing it, and then it's one of my favorite blue techs in the game.
So the main reason that I like it is you play 6 unisons, and the unisons that you do play usually sit at 3 or more markers for the entire game after you have them. Like, they're really difficult for your opponent to beat through, and especially with all of the negates and untaps that blue gets already. It kind of keeps people from wanting to target the unison anyway. So Intersecting Fate lets you put extra copies of your unisons past the first one that you see to the bottom of the deck, where they won't clunk as you move through the deck later. Because as you'll see, a lot of the cards other than Intersecting Fates will draw us a card when they come in, like the Tapion, both the unison and the battle card will draw us additional cards, plus our leader swing. You end up drawing a ton of cards once you're awakened. So Fates just lets you have smoother draws overall.
Yeah, it's a great card. In one of my the 18 deck, I played that to use as a search for the cards I couldn't normally search out with the Android searchers. So, unfortunately, a misplay on my part. All the Android 17s I wanted to grab were actually under my 5-drop. And I didn't realize that until after I swung and went past the battle operation. So when I did the Dr. Mew, I had to play this card, which is a searcher, but I failed to find a card off it, unfortunately. And I wanted to actually go up another chain with the Super 17, and I couldn't make that happen, unfortunately.
So this Super 17 package does it have any crossover with the original Set 5 Super 17 package, or is this pretty much just locked to its newer archetype?
You can, but it's majority towards this newer archetype because a lot of it does specify yellow. androids and whatnot. And that's why I just do the only green cards in my deck are the green yellow cards.
Gotcha. Do you think there's the strategy of running the old Super 17 cards would be any sort of potency, or is it just too clunky?
In my initial look at it, and like Fluff he was there for it, and I think Trevor was actually there when I first kind of went through phase 1 of me making a deck. I ended up cutting all of them out. I had put a lot of them there, and I was just like, I gotta find stuff to chop. I want this to shine, but I want to fit, I want to make this yellow green fit, and I'm like, the mono stuff has to go. Like, I can't make that happen in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
The two packages have a large, improperly used unity. They don't work together.
So Jake bounced my Super 17, which actually gets past its auto, because auto states when it's KO'd. So I don't get to set up another chain. It just, okay, now I gotta start all over again, which was really annoying, because I had to obviously spend the energy to go up the chain, and then I could have gone higher up the chain, but then I would have had to tap out, and I'm not doing that with a deck that restands 2 energy on swing.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra energy to go up against completely tapped out. I was impressed by how consistently you were able to go up the chain, though.
Having stuff in the drop is all it takes, which is pretty nice.
And the fact that the lower pieces of the chain are so innocuous made it so I really didn't want to counterplay any of them. And by the time you want to counterplay the battle cards, they already have deflected. It's too late. So my lack of knowledge against the way that this Super 17 deck works really kind of screwed me over here.
Yeah, I think in our matchup, I was like, all right, cool. I'm using an effect to play a card. You're like, okay. I'm like, you got a counterplay? You're like, no. Okay, cool. I'm using an effect to play a card. Counterplay? You're like, no. I'm like, cool. Pay 1 energy, 5-drop deflect. And you're like, I see.
Yeah. That's why you kept asking me counterplay.
And I think it's the same effect with, like, Jimmy, like in our matchup, it's no one in our locals, to my knowledge, was looking at Super 17, really. So no. I don't feel like anyone knew what to expect going up against this deck. And it can, like you said, build a champ so quickly. Now, Grant, I have to have 4 energy in order to do the chain so quickly. And here's an opportunity where I was just trying to go for an extra push, and I gave it double strike. And I'm sitting here trying to play this card, and there's a counterplay.
Yeah, there's something I know I can counterplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played against the Super 17 deck, and you kind of mentioned that you kind of bricked a little hard since you didn't see a Unison.
No Unison.
And even after I was done, and probably because you didn't see Unison, I was like, I have still no idea what the deck does other than make the leader strong and do a whole bunch of stuff without seeming like it does anything. So could you explain like what the idea behind it is a little bit?
So the basic chain itself, going to the 3-drop, which has barrier, so it's protected from certain counterplays, but obviously Trunks is the big one that could stop it. But once you get to that 3-drop, from that point on, you're playing the 5-drop, which eats a 4-drop card. It has dual attack 19, and you swing twice with that card, which is pretty nice. If you have 4 energy, you pay 2 to go into the 8-drop, which has triple strike, but also has an effect that restands itself and the leader by pitching 3 cards underneath it. So I consider that one of my boss monster cards, because I can swing triple strike twice at an opponent into 25k battle card, swing twice at my leader, which gets boosted for cards underneath other cards. And the leader likes to put cards from my drop underneath cards on my field as well. So it just helps boost that extra 2k power.
Gotcha.
So it really is just to evolve as fast as you can to make the leader stronger on the attacks. Use those extra cards, which are limit once per turn as well, limit 1, to give a double strike plus an additional like 2k per card underneath. Like I think we mentioned in an earlier video, like against you, I put my leader up to 29,000 I guess I did to Jake as well. I guess almost like 29,000 double strike without like, wait, how did that happen? All of a sudden, no energy being expended on my side.
That's just all the previous setup.
Yeah.
And it's so sneaky because it's all 1-drops with no combat power, no combat abilities, and you're not really watching what they're doing until it's kind of too late.
And here you got Tapiana, so you bounce my card again.
Yeah. Trying to make you start the chain all over.
And Bancroft, I think last turn I saw you do one of your Android 17s have the ability to remove a battle card from your opponent's field?
The 5-drop. So it targets a 4 or less battle card. If it has barrier, it can't be targeted, obviously. So yeah, when this card is played, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 4 or less in rest mode, and you put it underneath your card.
Pretty good for yellow to have some extra removal.
Yeah, and also you draw a card from that as well, so it kind of replaces itself in your hand, which is pretty nice. The leader has an activate battle, where if you pitch 3 cards under a card, you could tap one of your opponent's cards, and then it's a spirit boost, so it triggers a proxy unison's ability to KO a battle card and rest on your opponent's side, ignoring barrier, which is really strong as well. Now, granted, that's effects during your turn and your turn only, though. So if your opponent swung during their turn with a really strong card, you could just get rid of it during your turn by using a spirit boost effect. And here, Jake is just putting the pressure on me right now.
Yep, bounced his chain yet again, going on with pretty much a full-on alpha strike, even opting to attack with the unison instead of resting it to draw a card. I'm just trying, because I think before this turn started, Bancroft had like 14 cards in his hand or something. Granted, I keep putting cards back in there, but I just decided that I have to put some type of pressure on him and get some of those cards out of his hand, because I'm just going to die to the sheer amount of combo power and effects that he can do per turn if I don't.
Now, if we all here know Jake, I have 2 life, so I mean, I'm choosing not to negate. What are you expecting from Jake in this moment? Going all out with a double strike.
Yeah, let's have an educational moment here. Yeah.
And I'm just, that's what I'm worried about. I'm like, he could double strike me any moment, and I just gotta try to out combo it.
Oh, no, looks like I did +2 the unison.
Yeah, you did. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, it does nothing, but I plus to give it markers. Now, you did forget to restand it, though, because doesn't it restand at the end of your turn?
Yeah, although it's not really
True.
super relevant.
Yeah, it doesn't have block or anything to protect you.
Exactly. There are unisons that I play on the list with blocker that would affect, but I guess that is a small catch that technically it would be in active mode, although it doesn't have any bearing on your turn at all.
Yeah. And here I'm going through the whole motion again, asking you, like, do you have a counterplay, and trying to figure out what I need to do and stuff like that.
And frankly, I understand so little about the deck. I'm hoping that in my mind, there is a piece of the chain after the 5-drop, and that piece of the chain does not have deflect. So I'm hoping that you play your 5 again, and now that you have access to more energy, you go further up the chain, and that's when I punish you. But if you know anything about this set, you know that that's not true.
Yeah. So here I take your Abuni, because I'm not technically, if I'm correct, it can't be KO'd.
Correct.
So instead I just take it.
Which also punishes me for leaving that token in active mode. I could have got another free attack last turn.
Yeah. But it's okay. You do something very dirty. I'm over here expecting Baby Hatch. And you just steal my card instead. So here's something we weren't sure. Do the cards underneath the my battle card go to my drop, or do they stay with that card?
They will go to the drop.
Okay, that's what we thought, and that's what we did. I just could not remember in that moment, and we were like, I think this is how it works.
Yeah, when a card is removed from the battle area, all cards under it go to the drop.
Yeah. So now I'm in a situation because he still has dual attack on your side of the field. You have all these other cards, and I got this little Dr. Mew who's been putting in the work to allow me to continue my chain constantly. I don't remember if I had Nimbus or not.
So here's like looking down the end of two smoking barrels. You see blue with 5 open energy, and you see yellow with 3. And it's the war of like Nimbus, Golden Ape, Cooler, just counters, just ready to fire off at this stage of the game. And I'm like kind of so in my own head about it that, yeah, here's the Nimbus.
I paused
so
too.
that really kind of limits what I can do this turn, kind of negates the efficacy of the dual attack on the 5-drop, which, looking back, maybe it would have been better to leave it on my board, even though I can't swing with it, really. But, well, I guess it's still on the board right now. But, I mean, maybe it would have been better to attack with it and just end my turn and not commit anything else to the turn. But I decided to try and go for the kill with a Murray Chim. I did not hit a battle card, so I won't get the dual attack, but that won't matter with Nimbus.
Which you also didn't hit it on the Abuni, which is kind of a good trade-off this deck. It likes to thin itself out from battle cards, so it makes it harder to come across those battle cards.
And I decided to just combo the world here. And what's another lesson, class, to remember when you're playing against yellow? Pause the video and comment what card you think is about to be played.
Willing to bet that it was Vegeta's final flash.
So I didn't say anything. I'm just letting you go, and I'm like, he knows it's a yellow deck. Come on, he knows this.
So, comboed the world. Pretty rookie mistake. Coming in with the lead. Attack gets negated. I don't think I even restand my 2 energy.
No, you don't.
No.
I think at this point you were feeling kind of like, I think you realize, like, you forgot in that moment that you're playing against yellow because you're a big yellow player.
Yeah.
And I guess it slipped your mind, and it happens to a lot of us. And I think it slipped your mind, and for that moment you were like, why do I even try? Like, in my match with Trevor, I misplayed, and I'm like, I just messed everything up. And literally, he swung 3 times, I'm like, cool, I'll just take the life. I just took the life, you know? And then I'm like, hang on, this is the tournament. I gotta actually play, and I had to get back into, like, the groove all of a sudden again.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Was like, why do I even try to win? Like, combo the world and just get, like, punished by a card that you know exists and that you use every weekend. Like, I don't know. Would restanding the 2 energy off the leader swing have been relevant here? Who knows?
I think you have Dimension Magics, I thought.
I think so.
Yeah. So, here's the downside. I do play 4 of the 5-drops. I've only seen 1 the entire time. So I had to get this swing on the Unison and then immediately -2 to bring the 5-drop back to my hand just to get the evolve off it. And here, I actually took Murray Trip. I should have took the other 4-drop because Murray Trip has a barrier. You can't shoot target barrier.
So he should have just grabbed the Tapion. But at this stage, they're both just 20k double strikers.
And I immediately I said, I'm not going to risk it. Boom. A-drop deflect. And I think you even saw your hand move for like a slight moment. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So here, activate main to restand both those cards. Swing the leader to get the... I don't swing the leader first. Okay. No. I was like, why am I trying to risk giving him a card when I could just go for the triple strike?
Just in the game, yeah.
And truth be told, if I didn't have the Final Flash, Android 18 and Krillin would have been another option. But with that card, I risk you do having a counterplay, which you did. And I wouldn't have been able to negate your skills in that point.
And we were talking about it after the game. I had noticed earlier in the game you got them off of Searchers, and that's what I was saving my Trunks for, because I knew that the 5-drop had deflect.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, it would have been better to just leave the 5-drop on my side of the field, because for all I knew, that you were playing the same one over and over again, and you actually were.
Yeah.
So lineaging that and keeping it as opposed to trying to combo the world against a yellow player with open energy.
There wouldn't have been much I could have done at that point because I couldn't continue the chain anymore. And I would have had to rely on Unison plus when to draw a card, hope I drew into a 5-drop. Because I think I had the Dr. Dro super combo, but I didn't have any more 17 super combos in my hand. So in that turn, I would have gotten 2 draws, one from the leader, one from the Unison, and I would have hoped to have gotten, and 1 draw from the 3-drop as well, and just hoped I would have gotten a 5-drop to play, take a card, draw. But it is what it is. And I hope you all enjoy
You guys learned something, yeah.
Yeah. Keep in mind, there's buttons down below. There's buttons on the screen while someone does the outro.
I'm gonna need a 5-page report on Vegeta's final flash with particular emphasis on recognizing when it's in your opponent's hand when you're swinging with a... Get out of here, Ghost of Severus Snape. What the hell do you think you're doing? God, you guys believe the nerve of that guy? Like, God, that was a really cool duel, though. Check out...
He gave me homework.
He gave you homework?
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about? Fuck that dude. Like, always. Like, I love him always, but, like, God, what a cuck. Click on the 4 videos here. Hope you guys enjoyed what you just saw. As Bancroft said, let us know in the below. Read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and fluff out. Always.